This is your daily market review for Monday, January 6, 2025. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market review, Monday, January 6, 2025. Don't say 2024, Dan. Yes, interesting day. Decent rally at the open and kind of close to the top. Basically, what I figured would happen after the open was more of a open high, chop around, pull back. Again, anticipating going into the jobs number on Friday. You have Jimmy Carter Day on the 9th. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow's an indecision day and then some pulling back on Wednesday with a Friday doji. Again, that seems pretty easy to predict in my opinion based on reoccurring patterns and seeing this stuff, and especially now after seeing what happened today. Now, again, news can change, all of that, but I think it was a lot of this was predicated on some of the things that homies in the Discord room were talking about. It looks like Dana White was added to the Meta board. Meta got cooking. You had some ASML numbers or some data. And again, we talked about oversold conditions in some of the certain chip names. We talked about certain names holding up pretty well. I mean, NVDA getting into with the Jensen today. Again, I didn't even read into the news. I think he still talked. But anyway, point being is you expected a little blow off. You got more than you thought. And so that might take the market into this sideways action the rest of the week. Again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. Lots of friends posting here. Again, I appreciate you guys more than you know. It's always mucho love. Anything you need help with, let me know. So going into the rest of the week, let's talk about what to expect. Let me know how I can help. If you want to chat, check out the Calendly link. Let's connect, see how I can help you guys, whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, trading, whatever you think you need help with, holler. That's what we're here for. Love my job, love helping folks out, love doing good things, give to get kind of thing, good energy. So again, posting trades on the Discord room, on Twitter. Also, like, follow, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on both platforms. I appreciate it. If you want to donate, hit the thanks button. If you even want to leave criticism. Again, somebody said your whole video is a bunch of drivel and just crap. I'm like, cool, tell me why. Again, I don't mind negative feedback. I'd like to know what people think is good and bad. Again, if you're new to the channel, check out the tradingagent.com. Tons of resources. Get your recommended reading. Click on these links. These are the only 3 books I really think you need for trading. This, watching for the day of the market. One, to understand how price action works with volume, and then how the operators work. It's not rocket science, I promise you. Again, we have the experience, the insights of trading for 20 plus years. Again, you live these cycles, you live reoccurring patterns. The market's, nothing's new in the market, I promise. Going into the Fed meeting on January 29th, nothing. They just cut. I think they're stuck for a little bit, and they're a little worried about inflation. Bonds definitely are acting like it. Look at this. Look at the Bitcoin. Look at this. Again, I'm impressed. I thought we'd probably get tired around 99, 100,000, a little higher. Again, if you zoom in here, you can see that this next little area right here on 102 is definitely going to be resistance, backside of a trend line. Let's see what happens here. Again, personally, I've said this, I'm on record. I like all this stuff on big pullbacks when the market, right, gets flushed out. We haven't had a real flushing. So again, I think the economic data continues to get worse. Certain sectors continue to lag. It's just a matter of time. But it doesn't necessarily mean, again, that there's going to be the timing wise of it. We don't know. We don't know. And that's just my personal opinion. We've talked about oil holding the range lows. Nice little bounce. Probably a little overbought near term. Don't be surprised if it gets into some sideways consolidation action. No surprise. Good old natty gas. Oh, come on. What are you doing? Upload. Why are you being like that, huh? Come on, natty gas. There you go. We talked about liking this long term, but I like it at lower prices. We identified the lows. It's just now it's just incredibly difficult for me to chase commodities at this point. TLT, interesting action today. Decent little volume above. You can see how the volume's been petering off after that spike, but seems to be holding down here, right? Just keep an eye on this, because again, I think bonds make sense here with tight stops. It's really that simple. I'm like looking at there's nothing really to say. Keep it simple, stupid. Dollar, right? Post XDiv, nice little bounce. Again, if you assume to put it back at any new highs, we'd basically be chopping at the old range highs. If you add this dividend back into it, $1.31. Interesting product to own for the dollar. Again, I like it better than Dixie, but that's just my opinion. Keep an eye on this. Again, I don't really trade this stuff. I just more watch it. The VIX, we talked about this 16 to 18 area. Moving averages held on today. Keep it on. Again, filling the gap. I mean, I was watching this today and like, man, are we really going to go back down to 14? If so, then yeah, the market could definitely rally higher. If not, this to me, in my opinion, again, my humble opinion would be the best range to restart shorting stocks, whatever you want, trade around your positions, manage them. Because again, here you go, Vivek's making higher lows. Again, not going on record saying I know anything for sure. It's a probability-based game where you try to anticipate the market. Ooh, what does that mean? Is it really that hard, guys? Yes, it can be, but if you overthink it. But again, if the probability start looking out, the risk reward is not in your favor. Talked about the SPY filling the gap today. 20-day, boom. Doji. Exactly. Don't be surprised. Again, Doji, maybe another indecision day. We'll see. QQQ got that rally on some of these tech names. Look at it did. Filled the gap. Doji. Doing IWM, right? Going to the moon. Talked about the blue range. Posted that. I'd be watching the 20-day if you get a retest. DIA just continues to lag. It's just, sorry. Again, IWM as well. 100-day is crucial. Let's talk about gold, right? Like gold long-term, seasonality of gold typically runs up into February. Silver and the metals miners not really following too great. However, seasonality should be in your favor. We'll see what happens here. Again, it looks like a big top complex, which again, it can be invalidated. Look at that, broke that trend line. I mean, it's time to stretch the new trend line. I would think now it's this, right? I don't know. There's no perfect way of drawing this way. All I talk about, don't bring a ruler to trading. I personally like gold, silver, metals, all that stuff long term. Absolutely love it, but I want to see it pull back. It is lagging. It has lagged. We've talked about how silver lagging, gold miners lagging. They were due to bounce, right? Not much of, again, if these 20 days are in effect here, 8, 10 days. I mean, if we can't bounce and at least get up to the 200, it just goes to show you. I mean, these miners are not ready and primed for the big stage. AEM, we love this one, right? Pulling back. AG, this thing doesn't make sense being so cheap. Way down in lows. Newmont, same thing. Way too low. Way too low. Again, why are they not being bought? Well, we talked about this. If there's credit issues, higher interest rates, you have geopolitical risk, who's not well run? Miners, right? They typically are burning cash, tons of debt, higher interest rates not helping. So you need the price to appreciate, but you also need confidence in the markets. That's one of the things that's interesting about the miners. It's a very risky play. Taiwan Semi with ASML's news. Wow. Again, don't have a short on this one. I think you may have been able to take it today. This feels like a huge gap and trap, in my opinion. Could you get up to like a little higher? Yeah, always possible. Always very possible. Micron, again, these all were due. We talked about being oversold. I just didn't think we'd bounce that much. Hanging out at the lows, get this bounce. Look at that wiki wick. Can't close over the 150 day, 50 and 100 day. AMD, again, folks just love this stock. And it's like, man, I want them. I'm waiting for them to hate it again, and then it'll be a buy. We did close over the 20 day. Credit for bulls. Maybe you can see the 132 here, maybe the 50 day. We'll see. And personally, I think it's not a long-term hold. It's a trading stock. NVDA, well done. Well done. Talked about it this morning, right? Chopping, or not chopping, trapping. Those are the better words. Trap. Fizz. Man, come on, stop it. Look at that gap. Is this a pro gap or a gap and trap? Again, at this point, in my opinion, the valuations, again, I think this is the easiest short of the year. If you got some today, which a few folks reached out and said, was watching this, what do you think? I'm like, the risk reward is, you could put a freaking $1 stop if you had to, $2, whatever, super tight. Looks good for a short with tight stops. SMCI, we talked about them cooking the books. I don't trust them. Nothing to say. Intel, as usual, leading down. Nice work, intellectual property. Giving me faith that the SMH and some of these names was just a kind of a joke, just a pop and trap. Look at the SMH. You do you, boo. SMH, again, with the ASML move, look at that gap up, back up into the range. Might as well now confirm this, right? Like, do. Worth a watch, right? Again, you could short this. You could have bought, I know some people bought the socks Success in around 18. Wow, looking good, right? With a tight stop. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. I'm telling you guys. Adobe, again, things that don't make sense. Adobe should be rocking and rolling. Apple, we talked about this one being dead cat bounce near term, like gets a little oversold. Man, if that's all you got, and again, I'm not going to sit here and say for certain we know where the exact resistance points is, but I was watching all these candles. If you look at on the hourly, you can see there was a bunch of support resistance here. We hit it. We'll see what happens. Again, it's not a massive, like this is massive support here in my opinion. This isn't. This is kind of a medium resistance. Amazon, new highs. No, 20-day. Just watching. Keep an eye on it because, man, if you broke a little baby downtrend, so I don't know why you wouldn't go back to the highs. Meta, again, speaking of Dana White joining the board, buy the rumor, sell the news. Tomorrow is going to be real damn interesting because look at that gap up. Look at this area. Now, what kind of value does Dana bring? We'll see. Chopping at the highs. Keep an eye on it. CRM, right? Keep an eye on it. 50-day lagging. Again, some of these names don't look that good. Guggenheim bringing the Quantum 2 chips. Was checking this out earlier. I was like, okay, how do we hold up near 2 hundo? That's what I'd be asking yourself. Microsoft, talked about this one being on the precipice of doing the dive thing, but look at it, gets a little bounce and just doji's out on big volume. NDAQ, right? This should be up like 2 or 3 points. Back at range lows. I'm telling you guys, longer term, this stuff is so obvious. This exchange is not going to be the powerhouse. It's going to be in the commodities sector, and it's not going to be here. MicroStrategy, we talked about this potentially having more of a bounce after oversoldness. And you go from 546 down to 280s. You're going to bounce? Yeah. Okay. Now how high? That's the question, right? I thought maybe the 20-day. Again, personally, I'm not trading this. If Bitcoin is going to continue higher, I mean, I think it would make sense to get to like 400 if Bitcoin holds around 102 to 104,000. If it makes new highs, we'll see what happens here. Remember, this is a massive leverage, basically ETF of Bitcoin. Just keep that in mind. That's what Michael Saylor's trying to get out of it. Netflix, again, another one that you go, that should be leading up. Roblox, right? Oh, holding up, making new highs again. I think I missed the boat. I really wanted this in the down here. It's a pretty nice move. Yeah, it is what it is. If it pulls back, we'll be on it. PanW, again, we like the cybersecurity names. Thank God some of these names are pulling back. I like these names. Pulling back. Let it pull. Tesla, right? Big indecision day. No, not really indecision, but what's the best way to it? Again, when you look at it, it's not. It's like coming into important decision areas. I apologize, the right words. I mean, I thought it was going to fill the gap if it was going to get up here this morning. Didn't even do that. Hit the 20-day and doink. Remember, when you break below the 20-day the first time, it's usually resistance. Keep an eye on it. Insight, right? Chopping around. I mean, again, I like this stock. I think they get bought out. Keep an eye on it. Palantir. This one's been on fire, right? Lately, I don't know, 20-day. Maybe not so much lately. It's been on fire since August, right? 20 to 84. But this is interesting. You break the 20-day. Retro. McDonald's, we've talked about this one going nowhere fast. Seems to be stuck. DraftKings. Again, I hate to go on rants about these sports gambling websites and casino stuff. I mean, it's just, man, if we have a recession, people are not going to be gambling more, especially online. I think it's just going to become harder and harder and more competitive. Airbnb, they're going to have to buy more people, spend more money, more promos, more money spent. Again, 8% growth in that whole sector. It's hard. I mean, you got the peak of gambling spending because of COVID spending. Airbnb, nice chop, going nowhere. Costco, we talked about this one being oversold at the 100-day. Wouldn't surprise if it bounced. Starbucks, this one's just chopping around. Again, it seems to be holding the 200-day. But I'd watch out. Hacks at 94. I hit it today, 94 and change. I was like, dark. FedEx, again, we like this one as a short. Talked about post earnings. Talked about this bounce up here. I mean, and again, a day when the market's strong, look at FedEx, nothing. Caterpillar, again, day the market's strong, nothing. 200-day next. Deere, down 4 points, nothing, right? Keep an eye on it. Nucor did get a bounce. Oversold. We talked about this being down here. Man, is that a pro gap? I mean, at worst, you might be able to get, see what I'm thinking is if it's a gap this and you get a little bit of oversold conditions rally. Keep an eye on it. I mean, X got the bounce. We talked about it looking good in the 20s. I mean, you got down to 30. You do what you got to do. I personally wouldn't chase these. VALE got a nothing day. Again, where it should be holding up. Keep an eye on this. Arrow, we like Junior Copper. Again, talked about these names being oversold. Are you surprised? But that is why you can't just short endlessly or just, this is why you have to pick your levels to act on. It looks pretty solid to me. CC, again, for a bounce. But now I say that it'll probably pull right back and retest the lows. CCJ, talked about it holding the 51 area. So far, so good. Little interesting wick around 56. Keep an eye on 56 area. Seems very importante. CF, Mosaic, NTR. We talked about these names, just big chop zones. They got a little bounce off the lows, like a little baby bounce. Little baby bounce. And again, and it makes sense down here. Somebody might know something here. Again, I personally think the long run, we talked about this. If you bought these names at the lows and you just disappeared, you're going to be fine. Especially those ag names. I don't know if they have really too much further down to go. Aluminum, I'd love to see this in the 20s. Again, I like aluminum a lot. Let's get into the last few and roll it through it. XLF. Look at today's action, right? The market's up big. Financials got nothing. Said watch the 20-day, 50-day. Someone leave a comment below. Let me know if you actually took this trade. I didn't hear many folks talking about it. I'm like, ooh. Talked about shorting JP Morgan last couple days. Ooh. Look at that. Feels pretty right. Morgan Stanley. This one holding up better than others. But you're back right into. It's interesting when you get a wick like this after you pop up into the zone, right? You would hope to see it follow through. If it does, great. If it doesn't, be careful. Bank of America, long ass wick. Talked about the 20-50-day cross. See, this is the thing, right? Everybody's watching this, and this is sometimes how the market's really good at messing with your head. Everyone thinks, okay, well, if it's breaking off, it gets over. Or if it fails there, it's going to fail. Well, what's the best candle for both? In my opinion, this big-ass long wick top. Because now it confuses everyone. Everyone's going, whoa, hold on. Is that going higher? You know? What's going on here, right? A lot of people have a lot of opinions on this, right? Be careful. Be careful. That's an interesting. Again, that formation is always confusing as shit because you're like, oh, it's a breakout. No, is it? The same thing like a doji over, and you're like, oh, it got over it. Okay, is that a trap to bring in the bulls? Because somebody seemed like they were liquidating just as much as they were buying. Make sense? Carry. Keep it on it. Chopping. This has nothing. It's basically dead. XBI, again, you would think these names would be holding up pretty well. They seem to be rocking the range lows. Jets. Talked about this one looking like a top. And here's another one, like long wick, but gets stuck in the 25s. That's tough. Again, it makes sense to me that this would be a chop top after a straight, not straight, but a nice trend up. Man, if you cannot get over 26, pull back, be a common. XHB, right? Keep an eye on this thing. Housing index, not looking so good. We've talked about interest rates are a struggle bus, right? Solar, talked about them being oversold, due for a bounce. Well, if oil and gas get a little tired, right? Look at the tan candle. Looks like a hammer. Look at SED, right? Looks like a hammer. ENPH, talked about mid-70s, pulling back for solar, right? You see what I'm saying here? Like these got oversold. Now they bounce back and they wick back. And again, it doesn't mean that if they become crashing down, but you just think they'll probably chop. HYG, got to be high out of your mind to buy corporate debt, in my opinion. Somebody's selling it as it rises, but that's sometimes how it goes. Oil, due to pull back, right? After a nice up move. Makes sense to me, right? Keep an eye on this stuff. UNG, this thing had gotten throttled. 19 down to 15, you get a bounce. Again, nothing goes down or up in a straight line. And the more volatile, the better. Again, especially if you like shorting the KOLD in time. We talked about taking profits. If you trade around this position, you shorted at 80, you took some at the 50s, and then you took most of it in the 30s, you're feeling pretty good. And now just let natural gas pull back. Does that make sense? XOP, keep an eye on this. Again, we've talked about the candle shrinking. Nice little up move, but look at that wick, right? Fudge, man, that's a confusing one. BP, we talked about this one being a great trade, breaking the downtrend, said the 100-day was coming. Booyah. Now near term, right? Like this is where you look over to the left. You see this little VAP zone. Keep an eye on it. A lot of support resistance here. Do not be surprised if it chops, and if it cuts right through it, then that's strength. ExxonMobil, again, we talked about these names due to bounce. A little wick on that guy. CVE, again, junior. Oh, I'd like to see these rip more. We'll see. Valero, I mean, the gasoline names have been on fire. Sorry, not rewind. Had been holding the lows, bounced, now not looking so hot. We'll see what happens here. Again, oversold bounce, not on fire. I mean, I guess if you consider getting burned on fire, yes. Burn. But pulling back. Let's run through it. Occidental, we've talked about this one. Do bounce, Buffett, getting the 100-day, like BP. Oh, man, I'd love to see like a head and shoulders bottom or a double bottom on these names. EQT, we talked about this one, rallying back up into the 46, 47, 40. I don't know. I guess it got up to 48, right? 48, 29. This is an interesting area. It needs a breakout, and it might get stuck. It's just my opinion. It probably does because, again, unless the market's going to start cranking and we find leadership. And if we do, and these are the leaders, cool. I mean, you're going to be able to trade them for a while. And last but not least, Flex LNG. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Love you guys. Appreciate all of the love, support, generous donations. Leave a comment below. Hit me up. Let me know if you need any help. If you know anyone in the country looking for real estate help. Yeah, there's a billion agents out there, but do you trust them? That's the key, right? You can work with any agent, but do you want me to find you a great agent and you also get 2 agents for the price of 1? I stay involved in the whole transaction. So holler at your boy. Talk to you later. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.